Welcome, low ego action heroes and phoenixes. This is Debbie from Delta CX, and welcome to my every Wednesday show, Ask Me Anything. This is your chance to get some mentoring, coaching, advice, tips, opinions, whatever it might be. No charge. You are welcome to ask your question in the live chat where it'll pop up on the screen here, possibly with your name on it, or you can ask a longer or anonymous question at dcx.to/q. That'll come into my email and I can then put it on the screen. And don't forget that we have a conference coming up in May. It's designed to be affordable, and every other UX conference isn't. So check it out at dcx.com. It's right up there in the navigation conference, and you can learn more about it and sign up now. So we did get a question ahead of time, which is good. Hello, Ana Lucia. So I just got a question just as the theme song was running, and the question says, oops, wrong button. I wanted to superimpose it on myself, not replace myself. Okay, the question says, I once heard someone in UX say, users will fight through bad UX even if there is a product need. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. I think that question is best answered by some of our own experiences. Have you ever fought your way through a bad UX? That is the sound of my pressure cooker being finished. Please enjoy. So have you ever fought through bad usability, bad UX, all kinds of bad, because you needed to fill out the form, or you needed to use the system, or you didn't have a choice, or you were hoping the rest of it wouldn't suck so much? I think the answer is generally yes. Now, that doesn't mean that we've delighted people. It doesn't mean we'll get good customer satisfaction scores. It doesn't mean customers will ever come back again. It doesn't mean they won't utilize our customer support, which costs us money. Just because people will sometimes fight their way through a bad experience doesn't mean that we should feel okay delivering a bad experience. There are still many reasons to not deliver a bad experience. Yeah, Deanna says, unfortunately, yes, I have done this. We've all done this. But then we've also all done the opposite. Just the other day, I was trying to apply for a job, and the online job application form was so ugly, it felt like it was going to take me 20 to 30 minutes, and I just decided I'm not going to apply. Now you might say, you're lost, Deb. Now you're not going to get that job. Well, they're lost too. So that's an example of, and one of many examples of where some users will not fight through a bad experience. So we just want to make sure that we're not assuming that every user will fight through every bad experience and use it anyway. Ana Lucia says, well, that would be the product from my last company. They couldn't care about UX, and, well, their customers didn't have a choice. They either used their product or they would be out of work. Exactly. We often hear these types of statements from companies that don't have much competition, sometimes government websites, sometimes a tool you have to use at your job, even if it makes you inefficient, even if it means you're making all kinds of errors. And so people have a lot of excuses to deliver bad experiences. It's easy to come up with those excuses, but that doesn't mean that these are good reasons to deliver a bad excuse. And that's where you have to take a second look at things like your company values. Do your company values say we don't mind delivering bad shit to people? Do your company values say we don't care about you? So we might have to look at some other things that we may have promised people, or sometimes we've promised them nothing and it's a government website or a tool we have to use for work and we have no choice. So users will sometimes fight through if they have no choice, and sometimes they might fight through even if they have a choice. There was something I was using the other day. I'm trying to remember what it was, and I couldn't tab my way through the fields. So I felt like I was filling out the form in slow motion because I couldn't type something and then tab and type something and then tab. And instead I had to keep moving my mouse and clicking in the field. And I thought, thing one, this is not accessible, doesn't pass accessibility standards. Thing two, this is really terrible. I can't believe nobody even tested it by hitting tab on their keyboard. But it was something I wanted to buy at the right price at the right time, and I just figured, fine, I will do all of these extra clicks. But did you leave me with a good impression of things? Not necessarily. So again, I just want to make sure that these types of things are not used as excuses for delivering things we know are bad. When we are delivering something that we know isn't 5 stars out of 5 quality in the eyes of our target audiences, what are we doing? And why? And then we have to also, sometimes you have to work with your team to do an exercise and have them talk about the bad experiences they have with companies, the bad experiences they have with online forums and things like this. Get them thinking back to when they were the user in this situation. How did they like it? Did they abandon it? Did they keep using it? And you try to hope to create some sympathy, even if we can't create empathy. Ana Lucia says also they had an NPS score, which meant nothing at all. Customers eventually understood contributing to the NPS or not was the same thing. They would only do something if someone issued a formal complaint. Yeah, and again, we know we don't care about our users, we don't care about quality, when we only take action when we get sued, or a formal complaint, or regulated. Then you can tell where your ethics and priorities are. Again, users might fight through. I don't want to say users will fight through. Over here this says users will fight through, and I think that we should instead say some users might fight through a bad experience if they are forced to do it and have no choice, or in some instances where they've decided they will just do it anyway. But not every user will, not every user might, and it probably depends on how bad the UX is. Some sites are literally unusable. We cannot accomplish our task. We can't get it done. I've just told stories about this in some of my workshops. Some of you heard a story about many years ago when I tried to book a vacation online and I couldn't do it. So did I fight through the bad UX? I tried. And I lost. And that vacation company lost a sale. Oh, Ana Lucia says, I fixed it. Users can tolerate bad UX if there is a product need, but they will be unhappy about it. And again, where there isn't a need, we might just give everybody the middle finger and say, that's it, don't care. Burn this to the ground, F you, not going to do it. And so, again, we cannot take for granted that all users will battle through. I battled through last week. I needed to FedEx something from Italy, here in Italy, to America. And FedEx had the lowest price by a lot. And so I decided, okay, I've got to use FedEx. I have an account there. I'll ship with them. The other people are just too expensive. Also, FedEx allowed me to create a round trip FedEx, which I end up needing, and the other sites did not. So I didn't fight through their bad UX. I just said, well, if you're not going to let me even price out a round trip thing, I'm not going to ship with you. When I tried to ship with FedEx, what ended up happening was I kept getting an error message. I kept getting an error message and it kept saying, you have no account. And I thought, well, that makes no sense. I have an account. I tried the next day. You have no account. I tried creating a fresh shipment, same place. You have no account. Really made no sense. I got into a live chat with a support person and they said, this is something our department can't handle. You're going to have to contact a different department when they open. So here I am fighting through really bad UX. And then finally, I just said, I wonder if maybe I don't have a credit card on file with FedEx, so they don't want me to ship a package because they don't see how I'm going to pay for it. So I went into my account. Finding where my credit card was nearly impossible. It probably took me 10 or 15 minutes to figure out where the stored payments were. I put a credit card in. I went back to my shipment, and wouldn't you know, it shipped. So bad UX on multiple levels there, and I powered through. You can be sure that when they then sent me a survey on what it was like to ship a package, that I gave them an appropriate score and told them the story. The error message should have just said, we cannot ship this without you having a valid credit card on file. Click here to add a credit card. Instead, it said I had no account, which made me think my problem was something different than it was. And the person who was receiving my FedEx, when I told them the story, they said, same thing just happened to me. I spent an hour on the phone with customer service only to learn that they needed a new credit card. So FedEx could very easily fix this, but they might imagine, why bother? People will ship with us, right? Ana Lucia said if they don't have a choice and they really, really need to do something, they can bite the bullet. But I'm sure they will be looking for competitors every time they need to do that task. That's right. I definitely do not feel loyal to FedEx. And if I do need to ship something again in the future, that is not where I'm going to start. I'm going to start on other sites and see what I can make happen, because I am definitely not happy with how that went. I'm happy the package got there, and I'll be happy when my return package gets there, but that's the minimum viable happiness because I paid for that service. The least you can do is provide the service I paid for. So this is Ask Me Anything. We can talk about good and bad user and customer experiences, product strategy, job market, layoffs, anything you feel like. You can ask your question in the chat, which will pop up on the screen, or you can send a longer or anonymous question to dcx.to/Q, which will come into my email. And don't forget to register for our upcoming conference, which is about way more than UX. Let's see. I'm not seeing anything coming in right now. If we find that it goes for a few minutes and we don't have any questions, we can certainly wind down for today. But that was a good question because it really, what I like about the question is it asks more questions. We can't just stop at what this says and say, yeah, well, you know, users will fight through it. Not necessarily and not always, and you're taking a risk. And if you already know that you have bad UX, what are you doing? Let's not pretend you care about quality. Let's not pretend you care about the users. If you're going to say you care about quality and you care about the users, you're going to have to act on that and improve your UX. What do you know? Well, I'm going to wait a few minutes and see if we have any other questions. And if not, we can always wind down for now and continue again next Wednesday. Let's see, my next show will be next Wednesday. It should be with Dr. Nick since it's the second Wednesday of the month. And of course, I will double check with him. I don't know what this is. I'm trying to rearrange my calendar and I don't recognize my own to-dos. Well, just one of them. One of them feels a little mysterious. What does it mean? Because I would like to roll into bed after this. Ana Lucia says, it's sad that we're going through a good enough mentality and so many people double down on it. When did it even start and why? Yeah, it's interesting. If you look back at old articles and books about marketing, they don't necessarily mention customer or user experience, but they really focus on how you have to sell the right product at the right price at the right time to the people who need it. And so it's, I think we used to care more about quality because we cared more about customer loyalty. When companies care about whether or not customers are loyal and stay and buy again and things like that, then we take the appropriate actions to try to keep those customers. When you don't care, or you think, if we lose customers, who cares, we'll get more, or it's not worth investing in a better product to get more customers or have them stay. There's always these excuses that can be made. So there's lots of ways to alienate a customer, and the best way to keep them is quality. And if you don't want to pay for quality, what can I tell you? And then we have all these things that focused on quality: Lean Six Sigma. All of these were techniques that were trying to teach businesses, especially manufacturing businesses and factories, about the importance of quality, the importance of not having so many defects in the things that come off your manufacturing floor or factory assembly line, that you're going to make more money and save more money when you fine-tune your processes to have better quality. And we used to care about that. And I can't tell you when we stopped, but it does look like many places stopped prioritizing that. And that's too bad. All right, if we don't have another question, I can certainly wind down for today. We can start our winding down music. And just remind everybody that there is no Take Action Tuesday next week, but it will be back the following week. I think it's April 15, perhaps. 2 weeks from yesterday, there will be a new Take Action Tuesday, and I have a few more of them coming. So fresh content will be headed your way. Oh, hey, Pepe, I was just winding down and playing the wind down music. Did you have a question? Speak now, or your question will not be answered, because I turned on the wind down music because we only had one question. And Pepe's on YouTube, so there will be a 40-second delay. Many factories here are now moving to cheaper countries without caring about the quality of the work. Yeah, that's probably, when we think about manufacturing, that might be one of the things that has changed the quality. Oh yeah, let me write it down. Oh, Pepe's got a question. Hey, Amy. Lately, I've been seeing articles about how generalists are going to be the most valuable type of UX practitioner. Yes, let me put that on the questions list, and then let's talk about that. Okay, hold on. Let me paste that over, and then let's put that up. So I haven't seen all of those articles. I've seen a couple of them, and so I think I've seen enough to know why they think that. And I think they mean generalists or unicorns. And I think that they think that generalists are going to be more valuable, or are already more valuable, because so many job descriptions are currently mixing every single UX task together. You have to be the researcher. You have to know generative research, evaluative research. You have to know information architecture. Maybe you're also the UX writer. You're going to be the information architect. I said that already. The interaction designer. You're going to be the UI and brand designer. You're going to be, maybe you're doing something. So, since jobs right now actually like to pretend that one person can get all of those things done and get them done well, there's a lot of advice out there saying, oh my gosh, hurry up and learn these other skills so that you can present yourself as the ultimate UXer who knows every single UX task out there. Amy says, especially with AI. And Ana Lucia says, last week I saw a UX researcher job description that also asked for marketing skills. Okay, and excuse me, I've been talking for hours today. Pepe has a question. And Amy's got another angle on this, which is that the job might expect you to be able to do everything in UX because you're going to have AI do it for you. Pepe, your question's on the list. So that brings up a whole other dimension, which is that AI still does not do our jobs well. It still doesn't do great research. It might not do great research planning. It might not do great research recruiting. It's not going to run our sessions. It might not be great at analysis and synthesis. It may or may not help us with reporting. AI is starting to get a little bit better at some design tasks, but that doesn't necessarily mean that one person has the time in their day or week to do absolutely everything related to UX. So I think there are definitely many misconceptions about how much UX work AI can do well. There is still a giant gap between how much UX work AI claims to do and how much UX work AI does well. Those two are not the same things. There's lots of tools claiming that you can do UX work, nearly everything we do, across problem finding and problem solving, but ultimately AI is not doing a lot of this stuff well. I ran an experiment yesterday and I plugged my affinity diagram that after 32 interviews that my company ran a few years ago for a research project, I copied and pasted the affinity diagram into Claude. And I said, can you please make behavioral typologies based on these notes? Claude came up with 8 behavioral typologies. I strongly disagreed with 6 of them. We had delivered 5 behavioral typologies to our client, so I copied that slide, I pasted it to Claude. I said, these were my behavioral typologies. And Claude said, yours are much better. Now, imagine I had used Claude during my process. I might have thought, oh, I better use all these typologies, or I better go with what Claude said, or I better adjust what I think the typologies are to include some of this. You might feel very under pressure to use AI, even when AI is not doing a good job. And so I think that we just have to remain open to experimenting with AI, and then just notice where it is saving time and doing a good job, and where it is not saving time and doing a bad job and can't be used or needs a lot of babysitting or correction. So I think that in general, UX job descriptions are quite bizarre. They've kept adding more and more tasks to our plate over the last 15 years. We used to be highly specialized. I only did information architecture and interaction design. I didn't have to do research. I didn't have to do art. I didn't have to do brand or design system. We used to be very researched. We used to be very specialized. Then they said, oh, well, why don't we combine UX and UI? If you're making the design, maybe you can do the art and stuff too. That's where I started getting pushed out of design, because that's not where my strengths are. And now they think you should be able to do all of these things in one day. But that's just really setting you up for failure and burnout, as I think I mentioned in my 2019 book, so this is not new, that people will feel like we're never doing enough work, we're never doing it right, we're never delivering fast enough. And I think in many ways AI is still not ready to help us with very much of this. I think the first thing that AI is going to take over is design. I think research still has to be done by humans. So what can I tell you about that? So do I think these are more valuable? I don't. I would rather hire the person who does a few things really well than does a lot of things not so well. Okay, so we have a question from Pepe. Oh, Amy says, I can vouch for the fact that AI is not necessarily going to give us quality, especially for UX writing. As a generalist, I'd rather have a UX writer on staff. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can write, but I wouldn't necessarily want to be the UX writer. I can try to do some visual design, but it's not my strength. Someone else will do a better job. Don't you want to play to my strengths? Why would you play to my weaknesses? Who wins when we do that? Pepe asks, is it normal that a UX professional has a task to create docs and guidelines of a product, do's and don'ts, recommendations, integrations, best practices, and so on. ChatGPT says, yeah, haha. So I would say if you are being asked at your job to create these things, you're lucky. I wish more UX people got asked for these things, because that allows us to be more strategic. That allows us to be more involved in product management and the product processes, as I think we should be. So it does sound a little bit like UX design meets product management meets business analyst, but I've always thought that that was a pretty good place for us. So I would say, even though it might seem like you don't have a lot of time to do that, I would definitely do that. If you need some help, maybe we can do a coaching session, or you can try asking ChatGPT, but you know what I think of that. So yes, now normally good recommendations come from research. It's harder to create recommendations and guidelines when we're really guessing or hoping. So I would probably be adding to that documentation that this is based on assumptions, and that if we would want this plan, or whatever you're calling it, to be more accurate, we would need to do research first to understand our target audiences, their tasks, their habits, their perspectives, their tools, their workarounds and knowledge and collaborators, and what they're doing now and how it can be improved. Otherwise, you might be assuming at least some of what's in that document. So I would probably point out that at least some of this document is based on assumptions, because without research, we don't necessarily know. Any other questions? What's on people's minds? Well, if there's nothing else, having a document with the product guidelines and the process around developing seems like a good thing. Yeah, and I wish we did more of that. I wish that weren't left to only the product manager or only the business analyst. I wish we could be more involved in that. Let's try restarting. Okay, it's started from the middle. I turned off the sound. This is our show ending music. So if people don't have any other questions or comments, I will just wrap up for today. If you send something to dcx.to/Q in the next week, I will grab it and catch it and hold on to it, and it will be there for us next week, when hopefully Dr. Nick will join us as well. Yeah. That's right. You don't have to say how the research should be done. You can just say, hire Debbie and Ana Lucia to do it, because they're available. Hint, hint. Okay. We ran out of ending music. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up the show for today, a little on the early side. But everybody keep in touch. See you in our Discord community, which is free. Just head to dcx.to and find all the links to join our community for free. And don't forget to sign up for our conference. Find the link at deltacx.com. It's about dealing with bad workplaces, improving your time and energy, and branching out into new work areas, which I think all of these are relevant for all of us. Thanks, and see you next week.